Too many people are not willing to actually tell you the truth. They're not willing to tell themselves the truth. And it's really, really super easy when you have people out there with bad intent who take things, I'm talking directly to Media Matters and George Soros people, that take things out of context and then send them everywhere to all of the media outlets. And then those media outlets, because they're not honest and they don't look at Media Matters and say anything but they're on our side, they take those clips out of context. They take those clips and they make it into something that it isn't because you don't actually listen to the whole thing. It's not honest. Tucker Carlson and I were torched by John Oliver over the weekend, and I don't really care, but I want you to know the difference. I need you to be able to say, here is the difference. Here's why we say that. We think that fascism is happening in America. We believe that if anyone who says my way or the highway is a fascist. When it comes to Dr. Seuss books, it is not fascistic for the family to say, we're not going to print this anymore. We want to change the drawings in this book. That's not fascistic. However, what happened after that is fascistic. eBay won't allow you to buy the book now. Well, wait a minute. What? Amazon immediately pulled all the books. Now libraries are pulling the books. Schools are pulling the books. That's fascistic. When the family says we're not doing it, that's one thing. But once you cross into a public library where I can get a copy of Mein Kampf, but I can't get a copy of Dr. Seuss, there's a problem. You know what is fascistic? Almost every story that is run on Dr. Seuss does not show any of the offending pictures. When you see the offending pictures, you're like, okay, yep, that's kind of an outdated stereotype. Mm-hmm. And nobody's defending that. But when you read a story and it won't show you anything, it won't actually let you decide that's fascistic. Everybody is jamming everything down everyone's throat, and if you don't agree, you should be canceled. Here's John Oliver talking about Tucker Carlson and I this Sunday.
Now, that testimony was pretty newsworthy, but while some networks took the hearings live, Fox, unsurprisingly, barely covered it. In fact, across conservative media, you would hardly know the hearing had happened because they were too busy with this.
Dr. Seuss getting canceled. The children's book publisher says it will stop releasing 6 of his books.
The cancel culture going after Dr. Seuss tonight.
Dr. Seuss books are now too insensitive and even racist for this mob.
They are banning Dr. Seuss books. How much more do you need to see before all of America wakes up and goes, this is fascism?
Oh, I don't know. A lot more? Because the books weren't banned. Dr. Seuss Enterprises decided to stop printing 6 of them, and a company deciding which of its own books it will or won't print is an example of free enterprise, not fascism. It'd make as much sense to argue they're banning unicycles. How much more do you need to see before America wakes up and says this is transcendentalism? Well, the first thing isn't even true, and I've got no idea how you got from there to the second part.
Well, let me explain to you. Here's how I explain it. If someone was banning unicycles, and everybody went out and tried to buy them, and unicycles went from $5 to $1,500, you'd think there might be a market for it. There's a market for these books. People were standing in line to get these books before you couldn't get them anymore. It's not just a private business making the decision. First of all, he's right. The family made the decision. Then the publisher said, we're not going to publish it anymore. Okay, private business. Let's get into that here in a second. Private business and a family. Okay. Now let's go to the libraries. That seems to be a government institution. How about eBay? Private business. Private business. You know what's really interesting is how all of these private businesses are doing things that are against the Constitution, against freedom of speech, freedom of thought, freedom of assembly, all of these things. Freedom to petition your own government. I have a right to petition my government and say, hey, what the hell is going on with coronavirus? Why are you behaving this way? Instead, they don't like it, and so all the private businesses are stifling us. Now, that's not exactly fascism, but let me explain how you got there. It's pretty easy. These huge corporations are now doing the bidding for the United States government. They are now, many of them are in bed with the government, doing business with the government. I know you're not from around these parts, John Oliver, but maybe you should read some of our past presidents. Maybe you could read the farewell address from Eisenhower. He explained all of this. It's called a public-private partnership in many cases. And while we don't have Hitler, we didn't have Hitler when Trump was in charge. In fact, when Trump was in charge, he talked a good game, but he didn't do the things that are being done right now. Stu has a list of all of the things that Cuomo has done. Cuomo is the fascist that they said Hitler was going to do. Everything they said, no, I'm sorry, that Trump was. They said everything that Trump was going to do, Cuomo has done. But you guys don't care because you're not honest. By the way, the thing that you said that none of us were covering, it was like it never happened. I covered it several times that day, but you didn't care to look. You just made a blanket statement that I didn't cover it. I did cover it. But it would require work from you. Oh, no. This is a warning sign. You don't just wake up in a fascistic government. You just don't wake up one day and go, whoa, we were free yesterday. It's baby steps. And I have no problem with the family saying, we're not going to do it. They own the rights, so they can do that. Why can't I sell my book on eBay? Why can't I do that? It's a collectible. Again, on eBay, I could sell Mein Kampf, but not Dr. Seuss. That's weird. And how they all get together and they all walk in lockstep. And if you disagree with him, you're mocked, you're ridiculed, you're isolated. You guys should build a gulag, don't you think? I don't mean to be insulting. Yes, I do. But let me dumb it down for John Oliver. Down in the bowels of the HBO lot, where the truth goes to die, a slow death and then rot. Where the woke may talk freely and others may not, there sat in a green room, upon his wee cot, a pundit who dreaded all social injustice, whose hair was cropped close like Caesar Augustus. Why bother reporting things as they were said when you can simply clip them and play them instead? Why bother with fairness? Why trouble your head? You'll sleep just the same late at night in your bed. And so to that Oliver fellow from Britain, who with clips missing all of their context is smitten, who likes to dissect what I've said and what I've written, who must chew on the great big old bite that he has bitten, I say with no malice, for none's to be trucked. Though my words you've cut short and my good name you've mucked, and the system of good journalism you've bucked, my advice to you is go out and get yourself a Blaze subscription so you can have access to everything that I might have said, and maybe you won't get it wrong next time.